All right, so today we're talking about transitioning from tennis to pickleball. The first thing we're talking about right off the bat is the return. Too often we see players, like she'll hit me a serve here, we see players stand back at the baseline and they try to rip a return. So they're back here, they're just staying at the line, they're trying to rip a return. So what you want to do here, watch the pros, we'll do an example as well, but the pros are really moving forward off of their return. They're hitting, a lot of times they're hitting slice on the ball and they're giving good margin for error. So you're seeing some pros do this. We're gonna show an example right here. I'm coming in and I'm just hitting that nice and easy, deep back to my opponent in the court.
Yep, and just like Justin said on the return, we want a good consistent return. We also want that on the serve, right? So I'm not looking to win the point by pasting lines with massive serves, okay? I'm looking to get middle of the court, high margin over the net, okay, and at a pace I'm comfortable with getting the ball in play. Obviously that pace can go up, but we're looking to get consistent serves in. So I'm looking for deep, middle of the box, so that I can get that ball in play to start the point. We win the point at the kitchen line and not with the serve or with a return.
Yep, and maybe to add on to that, notice when I'm hitting these returns, when the pros are hitting these returns, it's not like tennis where I'm trying to hit a big slice, or I'm hitting a ton of tossing on it, but it's really just nice and easy back to the baseline.
For tennis players looking to get into some pickleball, is when we get to the kitchen line and we're looking to hit volleys or ball that out of the air, is a lot of times you're taught to keep that wrist locked and tight, right? So let's just do a couple examples here. So I'm volleying like I would in tennis, keeping that wrist tight and coming through. Now, while this is an effective way to be consistent, right? It's not gonna give you the power on your volleys that you would normally get. So what you're gonna look for is using actually a lot of wrist on the follow through. Not on the backstroke necessarily, okay, unless it's a very slow ball. But when you get that volley here, I'm gonna look for a good snap of the wrist, just like you would in like ping pong or so. Yeah. So as you can see the difference here, we're in a volley, I'm gonna snap the wrist. So snap the wrist. So I'm gonna get a lot more power. Let's go back and forth a little bit, snapping the wrist. So as you can see, I'm just turning and I'm snapping and snapping, 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 right? And so as you can see, I'm not getting back crazy. I'm getting the paddle open and then I'm snapping my wrist through instead of just locking my wrist and bunting the ball.
Yeah.
So make sure if you're a tennis player out there, we're not hitting tennis volleys like we've normally been taught, like stepping into it, right? Keeping a locked wrist. Yeah. We're keeping an open stance at the line and we're snapping our wrist through the ball.
Yeah, well, and I'd say there's times when maybe you're defending and you're not coming over the ball, you're just blocking,
sure,
like you do in tennis. But it's almost counterintuitive when you think about your whole life playing tennis.
Sure.
You're told, don't come over the ball, don't come over the ball.
Yep.
Now with pickleball, you should.
Yep, these are paddles, not rackets. Even though I say racket.
All right, for this last tip, we're talking about drives. But before we do that, if you're finding this video helpful, please hit that like button. It really does help us out. So with the drive, a lot of times people coming from tennis, they wanna turn their whole body. So they wanna get these shots here, so they're really getting in here and they're ripping through as hard as they can, really doing big swings. For pickleball, you'll see the pros and how they do it, and we'll show some video here. They're keeping an open stance. So more of an open stance. That doesn't mean they're not turning their shoulders, because you get power by turning your shoulders. But again, their feet are staying open, so then they can move forward after that, and they're not getting too out of place by turning much.
Yeah. So and just to add on top of that, it's also putting you in a position where if you hit a bad drive that's too high or a bad drop, when I smash the ball, he's in position to defend. Yeah. Whereas like if his body's turned, it's hard for him to get back in position to defend soon enough because it's a very short court.
There's less time, a lot less time in pickleball. Exactly. So I'll do a couple of these here. Open stance, I'm hitting through.
Good.
Step forward, hitting through.
Nice.
Are you in pursuit for the best paddle?
Get engaged with Engage.
See the description for 20% discount.